What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Serious Angler Podcast, powered by our friends over at X2 Power Batteries. And as always, I'm your host, Bailey Egbrett. And
I'm
we're
your co-host, Keith Tuma. Sorry to interrupt you there, Bailey, but Andy's not here, so somebody's got to do this.
Beautiful. I see. I can
This is
just
the
take
only way we could make this host-co-host thing happen is to give Andy the boot. Thank goodness he's got a new baby and he's on baby duty tonight. Congratulations, right, Andy. I know you're going to be watching this, brother.
See you, buddy. Sorry, Captain's been he's been booted off the boat. It's Tuma time.
Replaced.
I am the captain now.
Funny.
That's awesome, dude. But so before we got a bunch of stuff we're gonna talk about tonight.
Okay, cool.
One, it was really good catching up with you. We were hyped watching Bass Track come in and seeing that you had some good weight, but then leaderboard.
Bass Track when I was 0.
I meant to say the leaderboard when you weighed in.
There you go.
We were raving about it in our little group chat. So we're like, damn, Tuma dropped a bag. And then, dude, you had a really good event. So we'll get into that here in a second.
Sure.
But really fast, just for folks news-wise, and I would love to have you comment on this, but Lake Murray today was day one when we're recording. It's on Thursday. You guys are listening on Friday. Day one of Lake Murray for the Elite was today. And holy moly, is Lake Murray really showing her true colors right now.
It is on fire. And I had heard that prior to the tournament starting, and actually even prior to practice, I heard that you watch. It's gonna go down. Sure, Murray's gonna show for sure. And it is. So that's exciting. It's always fun. Slugfest fishing, big old bags of fish being weighed in. What were you telling me earlier before? It was like top 16 or places is over 20 pounds.
16th place is 20 pounds on the dot, and 27th place is 19 pounds on the dot, and to make the cut, 50th place is 17.5.
Wow. That's phenomenal.
Stacked.
The boys had fun. I promise you everybody had fun.
Yeah, unless you're one of the guys at the bottom that didn't get a limit, one of the very few that didn't. And
well,
yeah, that's got to be.
Some of us have been there, Bailey. We're not all quite to your caliber yet. It's easy for me to not come in with a limit.
With that crew, man, I'd have 0. I would not catch a dang bass.
Oh, you'd be able to scrap up something.
They were catching them. There were some guys where they only got maybe 10 bites a day, but their bites that they got were all really good ones. And there's some guys, though, that like Shane LaHue was really fun to watch today that just steamrolled fish. Like it was just nonstop. Nice. He'd be just slowly dragging a wacky rig and then just start going bananas, busting on top, like 20 yards from him. And you could tell he's a North Carolina boy because he had literally the top water ready at a certain angle that it's super easy to bend down, pick up, cast, does not take the bait off. You can tell he's used to schooling fish and herring fish because he was like, it was on it almost like a science. It was actually super cool to study today, watching how his whole setup was around it. But
see, that stuff never happens to Northern boy like me. I mean, we get schooling fish, but it's totally different. They're schooling on crawfish in the grass or something, you know. But so if I see them schooling on one of the southern reservoirs or whatever I'm on, they're usually across the cove or whatever, and it's like it's done by the time I get there.
It seems like if we're finding any schooling fish up north, it's like you're hearing a bluegill just get like slurped in the grass, right? And that's the extent of it. We don't have like the crazy like just blowing up everywhere. You might see one shad running astray every now and then, but it's never like a school. Right. But dude, it is so sick. It's got to be just like
I've seen it on TV.
Yeah. Watch Shane do it today. I never seen it in person. But dude, to watch it today was pretty freaking cool. That's a lot of guys throwing like the magic swimmers. You know what I'm talking about? Like the jointed hard baits.
Oh, the old school Sabile stuff.
Yeah, so they were Sabile, and Sabile got bought out by Pure Fishing. It's now the Berkeley Magic Swimmer. But guys, well, I'm just kind of giving like the train of how it came. It was Sabile. It was originally Sabile, and guys are throwing that. And dude, it's super cool to watch how guys work it. Like it's like they reel in the slack and they just pull. And I'm assuming what that bait does is it goes like and stops, and then they reel in the slack and pull. Like some guys will burn it, but you can see some guys it's kind of interesting. They're almost like they're dragging a Carolina rig almost. It makes sense.
Yeah, giving them a little different look, I'm assuming. If everybody's out there just straight winding the thing or burning it, it's a little different presentation.
It was super cool. I mean, I feel the herring lakes from a bait selection, a bait lineup on the herring lakes is the most unique, in my opinion, when it comes
Yep.
to like any other direction in the country. Because there's throwing baits that like you only throw on herring lakes, it seems. You know,
Sure.
I don't see many folks throwing pencil poppers anywhere else besides herring lakes.
Oh, I throw them up north.
Do you?
The shower blows
Oh man,
or any kind of
a
pencil
little bit,
popper
but
bait.
see, I just feel like, dude, it's so hard for me to not just throw a spook. Like, it's hard for me to just throw anything else because I get bit on the spook.
Try one once. Dare you?
I got them. I usually throw them on like TVA or something like that. That's about the only place I've really thrown them.
Did chicken?
Yeah, do you wuss? All right, challenge accepted. Well, dude, let's start diving into it because you had a really good event on Toledo Bend, and you said something on the phone with me the other day that had me really intrigued on how you were finding some deeper fish, doing something pretty special. And you don't have to give up the full juice if you don't want to, but I'd love to dive into just the process of how you found what you found, type of deal. But let's start hearing about your derb. Like, walk us through practice and then the event itself.
Well, I showed up after Lake Eufaula, which was our first open, and I knocked a 25 or 24th place out of the park there. So got real lucky. Day one was spooky, but day two, I did my thing and I capitalized, and I got quite a few bites on day two actually, and put a nice 22 3/4 pound limit in the boat for 24th place. Anyway, boom. After that event, I had heard that Toledo was pretty treacherous to navigate. I mean, obviously stay in the boat lanes and stuff like that. But then once you get off the boat lanes, you got to pretty much idle unless you know for a fact where you're going, local knowledge, stuff like that. And so I wanted to go out there and just kind of learn how to navigate the lake. So I spent a week out there after Eufaula and launched and just started kind of, it was sketchy. I mean, you're running and you look 20 feet over to your right, you're in the boat lane, and there's standing timber, and it's like, wow, this is interesting. So I just kind of took it easy the first day, and I did some idling back in. It's like, ooh, I didn't hit anything that pass, and fished around a little bit, caught some small fish, and then found some trees in 30 feet of water or whatever, and they'd lift the boat up. You just pull it into neutral and slide over it. Whatever, it happens. But came across a little deal, and in that 4 to 7 foot range, it was pretty well. I don't guess it wasn't super chilly. Weather was great, mid 80s. Water temperature started off, it was like 59, 60, so they'd had some cooler weather. Live scoped a stump, and I saw a fish by it. This is pre-practice, and flipped my little man bear pig over there, and the thing ate. And I was like, wow, this is cool, and set the hook, and it was like a 4.5 pounder. It's like, okay, duly noted. And I left it alone. I just kind of wandered around and learned, pretty much figured an area that I wanted to concentrate in, and it was all south of the bridge. There's a main bridge that runs east-west, just north of Cypress Bend. And I just concentrated down there and saw as much as I could, remembered kind of where things were, dropped a few dots here and there. My Humminbird is completely full, so I spent probably a good 2 hours deleting stuff that it's like, well, I did really, really horrible on this lake, so just delete.
Bye. See you later.
Bunch of stuff from Minnesota. It's like, well, I got it, locked away in memory. So delete. Yep. It just, whatever. Then I got home and downloaded it to a card, and I don't trust that, so I kept them on there. So I still did some deleting, but whatever. Yeah. So yeah, that was pre-practice. Went back home. Stopped at Eufaula in Oklahoma on the way down just to learn that lake a little bit, and that one's going to be interesting. Anyway, then
a good way or a bad way?
It'll be great for somebody.
You just don't think you?
I don't know about me yet. That's an interesting body of water.
I've heard it's super cool though. Like I've heard that you can do like a mix of everything there.
You could fish it practically any way you want.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah, and
overwhelming.
And
Is it not?
It's going to be it's going to be interesting to see how many people try and crowd into a certain few areas. Let's just put it that way.
Gotcha.
And I hope it spreads out. It's a ginormous body of water as well, 160 some thousand acres. So anyway, boom, leave there, shoot down to Toledo. Official practice first day. Dang it. I went and checked a few things and wanted to kind of see if I could find some offshore stuff. I had a feeling that that was going to hold the most consistently, I guess. Like deeper schools, crank and stuff like that. And I found a few, but what it turns out is it was just like community hole stuff. And I wasn't seeing people on it. It's like, okay, that just looks good, roll over there. It's like, yeah, there's a few fish down there. Try and fish for them, get a bite. It's like, decent one, a couple pounds, but not what I'm after. Toledo's got a reputation that precedes itself, So, all right, we got to look for bigger bites. Finally, I did that. And it was cooler weather too. I'm going to keep that in mind too. It didn't really start warming up until, like Monday afternoon. Tuesday morning I think Monday night was fairly warm, mid 60s. So I knew this water temperature was going to be warming up. Things were going to be happening. So it was late Monday. I started checking my stumps, or just areas with stumps, and catching males, 2 pounders, pound and a half, up to like 3.5 pounder. And every one of them was just peeing, they're getting ready. So I was like, okay, it's going to be a progression here, and it's going to probably go away quick. So Tuesday of practice, throwing crankbait around, had one come up. It was probably 4-ish pounds, 3.5, 4. Spit the crank. It's like, okay, good. Mark that spot. Turns out that was a very well-known crappie spot, and there was guide boats rotating through that. So I never was able to get on it, which was hilarious to me, but whatever. And then pulled up to it's windy as heck on Tuesday. Pull up to a random spot. Just, that looks good. Idle around. Oh, there's a stump there. Pitch a jig to the stump. I saw a blob and on live scope, and it took me about 3 casts, 4 casts to get the right cast to it, just because of the wind and having the trolling motor be moving, jig jogging, whatever. And all of a sudden I lost contact with my line. It's like, what the heck? It was swimming towards me. The fish disappeared too on live scope. So I reeled down a little bit and felt, and it's like, oh yeah, there's weight. I hadn't caught a good one on a stump yet. I mean, we're talking maybe 3.5 pounds is the biggest fish I caught on a stump. It's like, all right, it's not going to hurt anything. Set the hook, Bailey, and a rod stops. And I was like, oh no. All right, be a catfish. This is the only time I want you to be a catfish.
Damn it, Keith.
It was not a catfish. This mouth comes up, and I was like, oh, good Lord. And it's big. Well, I turn around, and there's a couple of guys, tournament guys, idling behind me, literally 40 yards off the back of my boat. And they're watching, just both of them rubbernecking. It's like, oh, all right, well, this is interesting. Another buddy of mine was probably 100 yards over. He was watching this whole thing go down too. I had no clue about the guys idling up behind me. I'm whatever. This fish is jumping or trying to jump, it's wallowing. It's like, all right, well, I leaned down. I got it on spot lock. They're both idling by, these guys, and they're rubbernecking bad. Like, all right, I'll put on a show for you. Reach down, grab a handful of mouth, I should say. And I hoist this fish up, and it's big, and they go, woo! It's like, all right, that was a little fun. That was some celebration. Throw it on the scale, get a picture real quick. 8 3/4.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, dude. So that was my practice. It's like, all right, they're starting to move to do the stump thing. And that gave me a little bit of confidence to roll with it. So Wednesday was half day of practice. One of the roomies and myself went out. We just had fun, and probably ended up hurting ourselves a little bit on this one shallow area, but we had fun. Caught a few, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we both decided to start there and just see if we could get a quick 12, 14, 15 pound limit, you know?
Yeah.
And so this is day one of the tournament. I didn't start on my deep stuff or on my spawners, the stumps, if you will. I ran to the shallow flat and we're hucking a crank around, and shoot, I want to say 45 minutes in, I got one 14-inch fish.
Oh,
and buddy Derek had like a 3.5 pounder or something like that. So just working around. Do you want the story of his lost fish from that spot that I witnessed? You want it all?
They
want
want
all the details.
Yeah, it's Tuma time, man. We got to get it all.
Well, Derek's not going to like this. I keep telling this story and he's gonna have some pressure when he gets
Derek is deal.
It's glide bait. All right, so he's fishing around 50 yards away from me, and I'm on the outside line. He's up on top of the flat, and he's catching some fish, and I'm hauling water, but whatever. And all of a sudden, I hear this commotion, and I look over by his boat, and the water's flying. I was like, "What in the hell?" And his rod's bowed up, and it was almost that fast. You know how you know the thrill of victory and the agony of defeat. You remember that from way back in the we're way back in the day. All of a sudden, this just look comes over his entire body, and his jaw is just agape, you know. I said, "What in the heck happened?" He goes, "I just lost a giant." I said, "Yeah, what, a giant carp?" Because there was tons of carp in the area.
Yeah.
And he's like, "No, dude, it was the biggest bass I'd ever seen in my life." I was like, "Are you kidding me right now?" So he's like, "Yeah, on my kid's glide bait." So his son makes his own glide baits, and they've got this one that works. And anybody that makes baits or has tinkered with baits knows that you're going to have one magic one that it just all came together. It works. Fish eat it. It works. And then the rest of them are like, this one's not quite right. Yeah. You could do the exact same process, just something, it's always going to be a little bit different. Well, anyway, there's one in existence. And so the story goes, and I didn't find out the full story until afterwards. He was, I had things to do. He had things to do, but he did tell me, he's like, it was mid-teens, like 14, 15 pounds. Big. He goes, biggest bass I've hands down ever seen in my life. So about 20 yards from his boat, he's throwing a crank on this shallow flat. He hears and this bass, apparently, he didn't see it at that time, but knocked, I call him a hybrid. They call him perch down there.
Yeah.
So it kind of looks like a little hybrid striper or
a little white bass,
you know, something like that. That's what we call them. They call them perch. So knocked this probably 12, 14-inch perch, just silly. It didn't get it. So this perch is up on the surface. Here, I'll do this. And it's just kind of doing one of these numbers. And this bass is trying to eat it. And Derek watches this happen 3 times. And he finally reaches down. He picks up his kid's glide bait, throws it out there right towards the perch, and boop, boop, boom. And the bass swipes at it, doesn't get it. He's like, "Oh my God." He's telling his co-angler, "Yeah, it swiped at it." Pitches it back out there again. Mind you, this is 20 yards from the boat. It's close. Boom, boom, boom. Swipes at it again. Misses. 3rd time's the charm, right? Boom, boom, boom. And he goes, "It's got it." And all he did was lean into it. He didn't set the hook or whatever. No. Yeah. And he had it hooked up for a little bit. And the commotion I heard was it coming up by the trolling motor of his boat and flailing its head, and boop, out goes the glide bait. So yeah, but he goes, hands down, he goes, that was the biggest bass I'd ever seen in my life. He's caught 12 and a half pounders before. And he goes, yeah, no exaggeration. I'll give it 14. It was probably 15 is what he's saying, but who knows how big it was. He goes, yeah, giant. So that was fun. That was how his tournament started.
Oh my God.
But I got to see that. That was cool. So anyway.
That hurts. I'd probably I don't know what
Yeah,
I'd
you
do.
gotta carry on though. It's like
Yeah,
the
but see, like you can carry on after a 5 or a 6 or something like that. But
I
like a
don't know. I think a 5 or a
potential,
6 hurt worse.
I don't know, man, dude. That's bigger than that. One fish is bigger than half the damn field's bag.
True.
Like
True.
that's a career changing bass right there.
100%. But how cool? And here's some Tuma
Did he at least have a
optimism.
GoPro running?
What's that?
Did he have a GoPro running?
No. No, he's got it all right here. His co-angler. It was his co-angler's birthday that day too. Yes. That's
Oh
the other
man.
cool part. And so, I mean, for that dude to witness it, for that to happen on Derek's son's glide bait, I mean, just,
Blame it
yeah,
on the kid.
it would have been amazing had he caught the fish. It hands down would have been amazing. But
Yeah.
to have that experience, I mean, that's got to be worth something, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I'll just blame it on the kid. Say, you didn't make it good enough. Came off.
Oh, that's horrible.
Yeah.
So, okay, back to me. Enough about Derek's ginormous bass that he lets swim around. 'cause
R.I.P. Derek.
He's a conservationist. Anyway, so I run off to another shallow thing, and it's probably, I don't know, it's a little after 9 o'clock in the morning now, 9:15, and I got probably a 20-minute run by the time you zigzag boat lanes and do all that, but I'm letting it eat. I'm by myself. It's fairly calm.
Letting it eat.
And I go rip it into this area like I'm a local and not even running boat lanes in this one spot. And I was like, yeah, cool. This feels kind of good. You know, I know where the trees are. I idled it enough times. I can get in and out. So it's not a big deal. I'm going to burn a half an hour here. If I don't get them going, then I'm gone. Another spot where I thought maybe I could get 14, 15 pounds. I pulled up there in practice, back to back, couple of 3.5s, and it's like, I'm out, you know, there's fish here. So I'm just looking for a confidence limit. I didn't at the time have the confidence in that stump thing to where I could go and pull a good limit. I thought maybe 1 or 2 okay fish, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So pull up into my little spot, 1 10-incher, done. That's it. Like, all right, now what are you going to do, stupid? It's like, I still got my 14-incher in the box. So, all right, well, 14 1/4, sorry. And it was over the legal limit. So,
Right.
And I measured it like 3 times. It's like, yep, that's over. Make sure the mouth is pinched. Yep, it's over.
We're not crazy.
Right. So it wasn't a line burner. It was a legit one. I'm like, all right, go run the stumps where you had a bite in practice. I had a bite in practice and it felt right. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
This isn't the one where I caught that 8 3/4. We're in a different spot. So I roll up there and I'm thinking worst case scenario, you can catch a pile of 2.5, 2 3/4 pounders, maybe a 3, 3.5, something like that. You'll put together a decent bag. My goal day 1, 15 pounds. Actually, my goal every day I fished, and I didn't exceeded it day 1, but didn't meet it day 2 or day 3. But anyway, it was 15 pounds. And I thought a guy would get a decent check at that kind of weight, you know. Somebody's going to crush it, blow it out of the water. That's what happened. A bunch of guys did really good. That's what happened. Great. Mm-hmm. So roll up there, start looking around, see a stump with some activity, fire over there, 2.5 pounder. It's like, all right, sweet. Fire over there again, 2 3/4. Heck yeah. We got 3 fish in the boat. On our way. 2 more. And it's 11 o'clock is when I started fishing around here. Kind of zigzagging through another active looking stump, fire over there. And I want to say that one was a 2.5 as well. So I got 4 fish in the boat. I just need 1 more. And now the pressure's off. I got my limit. Then I can just kind of pick and whatever. I got this huge area to fish. Nobody else is around there, which was very odd.
It's always a comforting feeling, that part of knowing you get up to the
223 boats in this tournament. And I'm thinking to myself, why there was 50 when I was practicing there, just rotating through. The 8 or 10 stopped constantly. 3 or 4 would leave and 3 or 4 or 5 more would come in. And I mean, people were just constantly checking this stuff. It was crazy.
Well, really fast, not to cut you off, but from a train of thought thing, this is something that a buddy of mine brought to my attention. Was I've had this train of thought where I always avoid community holes because I think it's just going to be crazy traffic.
Yep.
But there's people that specifically target community holes because of people that think that way and they show up and it's not busy at all.
Correct.
Is that on?
It could
on
go
par?
both ways. There, I mean, and community holes are community holes for a reason. Why? Because they hold fish.
Right.
There's fish there. So if you got to split it with a bunch of people, all you got to do is do it better, but you're still splitting it, So I mean, it's hammering the spot a little bit harder and stuff like that. But
yeah,
at one point, I think it was about 45 minutes before I took off. There was one other boat that showed up for probably half hour, and then they bailed. But they were a long ways away, other side of the thing. So I got 4 fish in the boat. I was like, all right, I'm just going to try sliding off this break a little bit. And got into that, I don't know, 14, 15 foot range. Am I boring you?
No, you're good, dude. I'm intrigued.
And I see the mark. There's a stump, and then there's old Blippy. And I was like, all right, make the cast, watch the lure fall, watch the blip saunter over there. And it's like, well, this is interesting. Shined the old looky-loo live scope away, and I felt tick. Like, really? Just kind of wait to feel for that weight, of it surging. And it's like, okay, there it is. And then it's kind of going the other way, and it pulls the rod out, and I drill it, and my rod stops. I go, oh God, please be a bass. Yeah. And here comes mouth, and I was like, oh my God. Mind you, I'm a northern boy. We've got big bass up by us, and I've caught some big bass on tour, but nothing like this. I mean, 100 years ago, I was down in Laredo, Texas, and I caught a 9.5, and that was awesome, but that was totally different circumstances. Zero pressure, no tournament, just fun fishing, right?
Yeah.
This thing comes up, and I was like, oh God. And I'm in the boat by myself, which is even more fun. I go running to the back deck, and it's jumping or trying to jump. It's wallowing out there, and I can see that it's hooked pretty darn good, which is great. Get it up by the boat. It's doing its mouthy thing again. And pretty soon I get it coming towards me. It just opens up its mouth, all 4 fingers inside, thumb on the outside, death grip, haul it in. It's like, holy crap, that just happened. That was my 9.5.
Hell yeah.
Dude, that was fish number 5. I was like, holy crap.
You just doubled your limit.
Yeah. So in the live well it goes. I'm shaking because that's what a Tuma does, just shakes.
I think anybody in their right mind would be shaking at that point.
10 minutes I sat down and tried to calm down. I was going to say tried to retie. I was trying to retie this entire time as well, but I'm trying to calm down. When you're old, the eyesight's not horrible, but I mean, up close, it's kind of starting to go. But if you're trying to thread 20-pound line through a little eyelet on a hook, you know what I'm talking about? Yeah. I mean, and then shake on top of it. But it was pure adrenaline. Got retied, which something I generally do not do. I check the line. It feels good. I pull the knot, whatever. Nuh-uh. Something like that. Caliber fish in this lake, I retied after every good one. Even some of the smaller ones, if I felt something weird, if it was hooked really deep, I'd sit down and retie. Just because you don't know, the next bite could be one of those monsters,
Yeah.
So retied.
Not being lazy.
No, not being lazy at all. Stood up, and I want to say 5 minutes later, there's another stump, and there's another blimpy blip. It's like, all right, toss out there. You have got to be kidding me. A little tick, a little pressure on the end of my line, and I swing, and it stops again. I was like, holy crap, this is happening again. Here comes mouth. I was like, whew. In the boat, that one comes, same thing. 4 fingers inside, a thumb on the outside, death grip. Turns out that one was 7 3/4, which is nothing to shake a stick at. It was still a giant.
Freak giant, yeah.
But that culled out my 14 1/4 incher. Or 14, whatever.
Gosh.
Yes. So, I mean, it was a solid 6-pound call. Like, you have got to be kidding me right now. Okay, sit down, shaky shakes again. Mind you, by this time it's noon. I've been there an hour. And I was like, okay, I just put a satchel. I got my 15 pounds easy. What do I do? Do I leave? Nope.
Yeah, you got 16 for 2.
Correct. Well, I didn't know that at the time. I didn't weigh either one of them, but I figured that one was 9 is what I put it at.
Are you a low baller? Like, are you a guy that's like,
I had no clue, dude.
that you
This
got
thing
20?
was, what's that?
So, like, are you a guy that's like knows for sure in your brain you got 20, but like you call it 15?
I wouldn't go that low unless
16.
I have. If I think I've got 20, I'm gonna call it like 18. Just okay. I don't want to be the guy that's like, oh, I got 20, and then you actually weigh in 14 or 15,
Yeah. Andy hates me for that. Like when we fish team derbs, like, well, he'll literally be culling our fish and he'll weigh the smallest one. He goes, okay, our smallest is 3.4. I'm like, all right, so we got 14 pounds. And he's like, dude, no, what? He's like,
yep. And that's how my mind works. And, okay, so from a competitive standpoint, it's a good thing to think that you've got less weight than you do, because it keeps you focused, gets that drive, Yep. And look, I got to get this. I'm going to try. And it doesn't always work out. But when it does, it's like, woo, that was awesome. So I decide to slide off of the juicer area, the big fish area, over to another area. And I come around this little chute, and there's some stumps, and there's some activity, and fire over there to the one, and line starts swimming off, set the hook. That one happened to be 4.5 pounds. I was like, holy crap, calls out of 2.5, So now I've got a donkey. I've got the mega donkey. Then I've got a donkey. Then I got the 4.5 and a 2 3/4 and a 2.5. Those are my 5 fish at this point. Like, what do you do?
Yeah.
One more, just in case. Cruising around. Up, there we go. Fire over there. 3, I think that one was 3.5 pounds. So calls out the last 2.5. It's like, okay, leave. It is now 1 o'clock. You've spent literally 2 hours there and just put together that bag. Get. So I run over to check old pre-practice, or not pre-practice, but practice monster, the 8 3/4.
Mm-hmm.
That fish is still swimming around down there. So at this point, it's reassuring me that, or confirming in my feeble little mind, that no, these fish are spawning on these deeper stumps. They have to be. I mean, all their tails are bloody. They don't. There's nothing close enough to where there would be like a spawning pocket, where they'd be way back. And I mean, I know they swim. They got fins, they tails, they swim. But
yeah,
it's just too convenient. And sure enough, this monster blip was just running wide circles around this stump. It didn't want to leave, but it did not like me being as close as I was. And I got 90 foot on my live scope, and she was right at the very end of it. So 70, 75 foot right in there is where I was keeping them, and did not like me being there. It didn't matter what I threw. So didn't get that one, but then it was the end of the day, fished some other stuff. And yeah, holy crap. Then I got really shaky. That was a long story. Are you sure we got time for this?
Oh, we got time. It's just you and me, buddy. As long as you're good, I'm good. Like,
I'm great. But yeah, I mean, that was get up to the weigh-in, and yeah, it just got some pictures taken with those fish and dropped them in the bag or in the bump tank, and yeah, it went up and weighed. My thoughts weren't.
You had to have blacked out on stage. You had to have blacked out on stage.
Not really, but I was such a wreck. It's like I can't think. I can't really put together my thoughts. But I think I got through it. I haven't watched the weigh-in, but some of my buddies were texting me from back home. Holy crap, you were wired. I've never heard you talk so fast, and stuff like that. It's like, well, yeah, dude,
Slow down, bro.
that just happened.
That's awesome.
So yeah, no, it was such a fun time, and what a blessing, to be able to put together that caliber of a bag during tournament. It's
Well, and also like what you learn too, like that you're able to confirm with yourself, like,
yeah.
okay, these fish are spawning. And I don't think many people at all in the field were acknowledging or even looking
they're
fish spawning that deep. They're just like, oh, they're just on stumps.
right.
Not like, oh, they might be spawning on stumps. If a guy caught one on a stump, he's probably like, oh, they're just relating to stumps.
Right. There was a handful of guys doing it, and by a handful, I mean probably 4, 5 that I know of. I'm sure there was probably more, but
do you think they knew that they were spawning though?
Suspected, but didn't fully know it. They do now.
And I think that's super cool because like we just literally just talked about that, and from personal experience up in the north, like I've caught largemouth spawning out in 10 to 12 foot where I've seen them visually looking down, thinking because I'm only seeing the backs and it's on a rock pile, and it's like, oh, they're smallmouth, and I catch them, they come up and it's green. And I'm like, oh, like, hey, light bulb, I learned something. But like our fisheries are so clear, and so it makes sense. But like where people like that, like, and also this happened today, was another reassurance of your point on a fishery like Toledo, them spawning that deep, was Tyler Rivette on Murray was catching fry. I was watching on live scope in like 8 to 12 foot of water, watching fry garters. Like you could see the ball of fry with the fry garter swimming together. And they were deeper. And it was super eye-opening. Like Mark Zona was like, I've never seen anything like this before. And they were nerding out on live. And it's like, that's the first thing when I was watching, they brought that up that they were talking about. I'm like, Tuma, like we literally just talked about this the other day. So I thought that was super cool. And I appreciate you willing to talk about it tonight. Cause like,
probably letting the cat out of the bag. I'm sure there's some old boys that are watching this. Shut your mouth, guy,
We're gonna get some thumbs down on this stream, I'm sure.
Well, so I didn't tell you this part, but now that you mentioned it, when I pulled up to some of my shallower, and by shallow I mean like that 9 to 10 foot range.
Yeah.
The stumps looked like Christmas trees. So there was fuzz around them. There was, yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And this was tournament day.
That's
and it's like, cool. Okay, this is happening. There's fry.
So before the tournament, there was no fuzz.
Correct.
Oh, so they were like literally, oh dude, that's so cool.
Yeah.
That's so freaking awesome.
It happened like that quick. And yeah, it was either that or there was a shad spawn going on those stumps, but I still think that they were spawning on them.
I think going back to that big one, and I think some folks who are listening or watching that don't have a lot of experience with forward-facing sonar, they're like, dude, how do you know that's the same fish that you pulled up on? Like when you have time to dial that in, you know size of fish. And if you're going to pull up the same damn stump and you see that same caliber, blippity blop, as you described it earlier, like, that's okay. That's what it clicks. Like you can tell when it's the same fish. Yep. Like that's super cool.
No joke. I mean, yeah, it's just,
that's freaking awesome.
It was neat. It really, really was neat. I was nervous about it going away. And with just as fast as it had happened, from let's say Tuesday when I found that one, which was 5 miles away from where I ended up catching these fish, I knew it was going away. And just where those better fish were, where I located them on the structure I was fishing, it was telling me that they were sliding off. They were closer to the break. They were out a little deeper. And yeah, I think I just a day before, like I don't know, hindsight, right?
Yeah.
So I go back there day 2. I start there. I'm thinking, well, shoot, if I only gave this 2 hours, I got a long day. And I think I got there 7:35 or 7:40 or something like that. And I've got till 5:45 to fish. And Oh, rolling up. I got a co-angler day too. And start looking around. I started off deep, wind changed directions, and it was warmer. So now it's blowing out of the south. So which was fine. You know, I could work it just the way I wanted to, same way, you know, except opposite, if that makes sense, because it was out of the north.
Yeah.
Kind of the day before, south today. Anyway, shoot, roll up. There's a couple marks swimming around, throw over there. 5. Like, okay, they're here still. And this one actually looked like it had just moved up.
Oh, so it was clean.
It was clean. No bloody tail, kind of a little belly on it. And I was like, interesting. And that was it for a few hours. And then kind of zigzagged around, scraped together a 3 1/4, and then like a 2 1/2. And it's like, all right, got to do something.
Right.
Circle back around to where I'd caught the couple good ones the day before, the 5 that morning. There's a couple more swimming around down there. It's like, all right, they're not holding tight to the cover, to the stumps. They're either pre-spawners or they're post-spawners, or they're just using it. They're coming up to feed. You know, something's going on. Fire out there. Watch the. I was throwing a Reaction Innovations Band Bear Pig most of the time. I'd alternate between that, was what I was getting most of my bites with, and a Senko and a jig. So
yeah, I love the picture of it in your mouth. I actually
Andy and I were laughing our butts off on that Saturday morning. I was like, dude, you want me to hold it in my mouth? He's like, yeah, would you? I was like, yeah, I don't care.
You want to see something really funny? Actually,
I do.
So I started a little while ago, but we never could take it off actually have it take off because we didn't have the time for it. We were trying to get logistics open, but I finally kicked it off last week. I'm going to try to stay diligent with it. But we started a newsletter for Serious Angler in regards to, hey, here's the upcoming events, like podcasts for the week. Here's some industry news we got, and then like some apparel and all that jazz. And let me see if I can share my screen. I
just make sure that one screen's down.
What screen?
That one screen, you know, the one.
Oh lordy. Right. Can you see my screen here?
I can see something.
Can you see? Is it up here?
Serious swag for serious anglers.
Let me see if I can get it. There we go. All right. So go to our newsletter. It's got you right.
Nice.
Front center. Nice. I was like, this has got to be our lead image. This is awesome.
Wow, what a mug, huh?
Yeah. Woo. Awesome. And hey, with that, I'll say if you guys want to get into the newsletter, we're going to try to make it better every week. You guys can go to the website or our main page, or DM us or something. We'll get you guys, put your email in there. But dude, yeah, I saw that. I was putting in the episode, like, we got Keith Tuma coming this week. I'm like, this photo is perfect. I saw it on Bass.
I think it's kind of got to be a thing.
Yeah.
If I make another top 10, I'm probably going to have baits hanging in my face, I guess.
Can't not, right?
It's going to be weird with a crankbait. We'll figure out a way to make it work.
Your cameraman's best friend.
What's that?
Said you're a cameraman's best friend.
I'm just a nut, dude. Just an old guy that likes to fish.
I think they enjoy that though. Like a guy that's willing to be a little fun and not just your typical.
Andy angler. We were having a hoot with it.
I bet.
So roll back up to my little point again. This is where it kind of gets a little depressing.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. But I'm not 100% certain, but see a good blip, right? Fire over there, feel the tick, feel a little bit of weight. And I think I missed one other one. I don't think it was anything special, but this fish, there was pictures on Bassmaster's website. There was a camera guide 50 feet away from me, but I had been a little stressed out and had partial cigar in my mouth. Well, they couldn't leave it posted.
Yeah.
But when I set the hook on that thing, Bailey, and I never did get a hook in the fish, my rod doubled over. Like when it doubled over on that 9.5 or that 7 3/4 or that 8 3/4. You know, just I mean, it was another solid fish.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I had it on for about a crank, and boop, just came off. So it happens. It's like, okay.
And that was on a jig, or was it the man bear pig you were saying?
That was the man bear pig, yeah. And
So
which
I
is
feel like
really weird because it's not a ginormous bait. And I
right.
mean these things got mouths like that, you know.
It blows my mind. What do you what do you think happened?
Okay, I'm glad you asked. So when it picked it up, for some reason, I think the hook was laid like sideways across its mouth, and it was just sheer clamp force that had it. Yeah,
I see what you're saying.
it picked it up weird.
Yeah.
It didn't inhale it like from the back. You know, usually they get a mouthful. They got. I wasn't running a pegged weight either. You know, so I don't know. Normally you run a pegged weight, a big weight, whatever. Sometimes that'll jar the mouth open a little bit and the lure come flying out. But yeah, it either had it in sideways or it just didn't get the hook, you know, or the hook didn't get the fish, I guess.
Yeah, it's so like it's what happens all the time fishing for spawners that you can't see.
Yeah,
like, it seems to be like you run into a few of those.
Sure, but I don't. I'll never know if it was spawning or not. It showed up on there was a group, I don't know, the size of 2 boats, where there was just a group of magical stumps in that deeper range where you'd give it long enough, one would show up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I don't know. Anyway, it was fun. I ran back over by Cypress and scraped together another 2.5-ish and came in with 4 fish for 13.10 on day 2. And that secured me a top 10, which was
That must at
amazing.
least made you happy that it's at least top 10 and you get to go fishing another day. But
I was so exhausted. I'm
bet.
not going to lie. I pushed myself for all I was worth on that Friday just because it's a long day. I need 15 pounds. 15 pounds keeps me in the hunt. And that's what I thought I needed to get, you know, the top 10.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was, because we don't know, you know, we don't know that a lot of other guys are struggling. Well, 13.10 put me in 3rd place for the day. So that was pretty awesome.
Yeah, I mean, dude, where did you end up in that event?
10th.
Oh, so you're at 10th and a 24th, correct? 24.
24th on Eufaula, and then 10th. Yeah.
I mean, you got on the overall, you're sitting.
Are you really going to make me talk about AOY points right now?
No, I'm just saying, like it's a good start.
It's a wonderful start.
Yeah, we're not acknowledging anything about like what could be, you know, that stuff. We're not trying to predict, and we're Northern boys. We don't like to jinx anything, but I'm just saying it's a good start.
Phenomenal start. I went into Toledo and Eufaula just wanting to survive, top 40s, and I'm probably going to go into every tournament just wanting to survive top 40. But we'll see how it turns out, you know.
Well, and that's, I think, the one thing with this format having to do all of them is I mean, especially when you have a top 10, you got a 24, 30, you can give depending on how the season goes, you can allow yourself to have a rough tournament, if that makes any sense.
We're going to try not to.
Right.
But yes, a guy could be allowed 1, maybe 2. I don't know. There's some freaking hammers out there. I'm just saying, some absolute sticks, and they're going to catch them wherever we go. And it's setting up to a lot of guys' strengths or, you know, comfortable ways of fishing or whatever. Hey, did you just notice my throat eyes?
Oh, the strings out of the hoodie. That's funny.
Here, I'll get those away.
Oh, you're good. Don't bother me.
So
how many? I'm trying to recall, how many EQ anglers on the overall qualify for the elites?
9 out of 175. 9. Yeah.
Wow. Do you think there's gonna be some drop off, like, in some people that have a bad half, like if they'll just try to get some money back?
So I've been talking to some people. You don't get your money back. That's the thing.
Oh, okay.
You don't get your deposit back as long as you didn't at the beginning of the year just go ahead and pay for everything. I mean, it's non-refundable. So,
okay. So it's still not. You still don't have to pay for the full season.
well, I don't fully know. I don't know if you'd be invited back if you didn't. So I don't know how that works, but I know you lose the deposit for certain.
Right.
I think that the guys that if somebody does drop out, how do you collect? You know, it's like, hey, I'm not showing up. Yeah, I lose my $800 deposit, but
yeah, I feel like at that rate, you just gotta like. I feel like at that rate, if you don't show up, you got to be in bad shape because like you at least you can go and like compete for a classic berth.
Correct. You're fishing all 9. You're signed up for all 9. You know, pick whatever division at least that you're doing the best in and try and get in the classic.
Yeah.
You know?
Yep.
I don't know, makes sense to me. Or just man up and fish them.
Yeah, suck it up, Buttercup.
Yeah. You're gonna stub your toe, you know, or not. You just push through, you know. You at the beginning of the year before you fished a tournament, you had high hopes and high aspirations. Keep the focus.
Keep rolling for sure. Yeah. So how is the noggin doing in regards to leaving this tournament and looking forward to the rest of the season?
Doing good. Made a pit stop. I'm on Watts Bar right now, and just kind of been idling around, looking and doing a little bit of fishing. They got smallmouth here. I've caught some.
The northerner is happy.
Right. I sent Andy Walls, my partner back home. I sent him pictures. Like, dude, look what I found. First one of the year, you know, and
there's friends down here.
Yeah, it was like a 2-pounder. And then I caught one a little later on that was probably, I don't know, 2.5. And then I caught one today that was actually 3.25 and 18.5 inches long. So I mean, an actual wayfish.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, sir.
How do you think that one's going to go? Like, how do you think weight wise that one's going to shape out?
Dude, I don't know. We're here in September, and everything I hear about Watts in September is that it gets really, really, really tough. So somebody's going to crush them. But I think the majority of the field, it's going to be a grind. And it's a giant body of water too. It's weird. It's a river. It's long, and we're launching way up north somewhere, and it's one of those things though. From what I've been seeing, I don't know. It could be fun.
Yeah,
it could be tough, but it could be fun.
Yeah, it kind of sounds like.
Do I have to say any more, Bailey?
Let's talk about it off. No, you're good. I would never ask you to cough anything up.
I'm finding some areas that are making me smile. Whether or not the fish are going to be in them, I don't know. Right. But it's like, oh, this almost feels familiar.
So I'm kind of curious too. So like we've talked, you've been on the show several times now, and it's when you're approaching the opens, especially this year, you're like, I'm going to go one tournament at a time.
Yes.
But you're also doing something that I totally respect, taking the due diligence, taking the time and going and checking out fisheries, putting in the work, especially like the time behind the steering wheel. Like, how do you go and pre-practice a place, but also stay focused, knowing that that's not the next event, that you have another event prior to that to focus on?
So I tell myself you're going there for navigation, and I think that any time on the water is beneficial, especially when we're doing to ourselves what we're doing, or I'm doing to myself what I'm doing, you know. I'm trying to stay sharp, trying to stay focused, and I am trying weird things. And now's the time to try weird things. When it comes to tournament time, like we're going to be on Bugs Island or Kerr Lake next, Virginia, North Carolina. And I don't know how that's going to shake out. I did not go there in pre-practice, so I'm a little bit, it's kind of in my head, honestly, but it'll be fine. I'll put together something and we'll roll with it. But I don't know that I'm going to be doing anything weird. I think I'm going to try and fish my comforts or my strengths or something along those lines. And that's what I did on Eufaula. That's what I did on Toledo. So we're just going to try and stick with that.
I dig it.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know what else to say. It's just time. So the pre-practice stuff, keeping them separated, time on the water, staying sharp. If you feel like, okay, hey, I'm sick and tired of idling around looking at stuff, run up somewhere and just fish. And I did, and I caught a few, and it's like, okay, yeah, I can do this. I don't completely,
It's got to be kind of freeing almost in the fact that, like, because when you're practicing to an extent, you got to hold off. Like, especially when you're running to fish, and then tournament time is always stressful because it's tournament time. Whereas pre-practice, it's like
whack fest.
Yeah,
if you want,
don't have to hold off. Yeah, you can just let them rip.
Yeah, and the other thing is here. What is it? I think it's April. Shoot, dude.
Yeah, I had to look at the corner of the screen again.
Oh my goodness. Anyway, and we're not here till September, so I mean, it's going to be completely different. But it's gorgeous weather. And that's the other thing. So I'm taking in the scenery wherever I'm at too. From Toledo, when I was there in pre-practice, I mean, it is a gorgeous reservoir. The surrounding areas, there's just the different trees and just the birds and the critters. Obviously, it was spring or warm weather compared to back home.
Right.
Same with Eufaula. It was so pretty in its own regards, but just different, you know. Same with here. You got the mountains, and it's so cool.
Yeah.
And everybody, some people are going to be like, wow, it must be nice just to cruise around. I busted my butt for the majority of my life to put myself in a position to where I could take, let's just say, a year off and focus on this new journey. You know what I mean?
Respect. Yeah.
So earned it. So dang it, I'm gonna take a little extra time. Do I miss my family? Absolutely. I miss my daughter. I miss my parents. Not my brother so much, but he'll never watch this.
Yeah, he'll be all right.
I'm too. And of course, my girlfriend. But and friends. I miss my people, but I'm talking to them. But it's so cool just to be able to take the time and to chill and unwind from the previous tournament and just get on a new body of water and kind of start over, you know? And but yet, all right, well, this worked here, try it here. Weird. You can catch fish doing that too.
Yeah.
Weird.
It's pretty cool though, man. Like I think the state you're in is one that I think a lot of tournament anglers chase, and a lot of tournament anglers, once they get into that mental state, that they start to fish their best, like at their peak, if that makes sense from a decision-making standpoint of you're free. You don't have to worry about getting home and getting back on the job. There's not a lot going. Obviously it sucks to be, away from family and all that jazz. I think any guy that's on tour can attest to that. But
non-sociopath. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah. I mean, I think that's why you see some guys that are like straight up single, living out of their truck, not a worry in the world, that fishing so good. And it's because of that mental freedom.
100%. Yeah. You got to find whatever works for you as an individual, and roll with it and capitalize it, or, bring it for all it's worth or whatever, But if it's working out for you and it sets up to where you can fish your strengths and your comfort zone, roll with it.
Yeah. I mean, I relate it and I see it on the kayak side, even, to be quite honest. There's a handful of anglers that are full-time with it in regards to they travel, sleep out of their vehicles, fish all day, fish as many tournaments as they can, just fish. And those are the ones that are always at the top. And it's just because you talk about time on the water. They're in sync with it. They talk about, Rick Clunn's total immersion. Like, it's all that thing when you're invested fully in it, things click and they click often.
100%.
Whereas a guy, if he's back and forth, it's hard to keep that. Like, one thing I acknowledged that I need to figure out a solution for when I went to Santee was, it wasn't until maybe mid-Thursday that my brain started to click a little bit.
Right.
Because I was still stuck in my work mindset coming out of the Classic that week.
Yeah.
So like I was still kind of in work mode.
It's a tough adjustment.
Yeah. Yeah. It seems like such a simple task.
Sure. It's on paper, it looks so easy. It's like, okay, this is checked off. You don't have to worry about it anymore. But overthinkers much like myself, yourself, I'm assuming,
Yeah.
you can't really let any of that go. So it's not up front in the thought process, but it's a distraction. It's that little itch, that you just something is still there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly. I'm not. It seems like I always cut you off, and I am so sorry. I know
Oh,
this is
dude.
your show, and I'm just the co-host, but
No, you're the host, man. What are you talking about? That's why we had you on. But you're back on your show finally. We just been holding down the fort till you get back here. That's all we do.
all right.
No, you're good. Oh, good, man. So beyond obviously, so you got Bugs Island coming up next. You're at Watts Bar, checking things out now.
Yeah.
Great start. Anything like rest of the season that you're just looking forward to? You just go one step at a time.
One step at a time. Obviously looking forward to coming up by New York. God, what a gorgeous state. Yeah, St. Lawrence River. See if I can find a brown one up there.
There's a few.
I think that's going to be pretty much our only brownfish tournament.
Northern tournament.
Yeah. So yeah. I mean, there's smallmouth in a few of the other areas we're going, but like Lake of the Ozarks there and there. And I'm sure a few will show up. It'll be a mixed bag probably. But
I've always been intrigued by Lake of the Ozarks. Like it's one of the places where it's like it's not known for giant fish, but I'm intrigued to just learn that fishery for whatever reason.
It's going to be interesting. I've dabbled. I have not spent a ton of time out there, but I've dabbled a little bit. So probably nervous about that one.
What time of year are you guys going to that one?
That's September as well.
What's the last term? Is that in October?
That one is October. Little chain of lakes down in Florida.
Yeah, you don't know that lake at all.
Not in October, I don't.
No history. Yeah.
No, I'm excited about that one. I really, truly am. And I'm not going to do any pre-practice on that one, just official practice. So
yeah, I feel like that of all places in the country, Florida pre-practice would burn anybody.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
possibly.
I feel like the only thing beneficial to pre-practice in a Florida fishery would be like finding shoals or something like that, and that's about
or
it.
shell beds or something along those lines.
Right.
Sure. Yep. Yeah. Just knowing where that different bottom structure concentrate or whatever the hell I'm trying to say is. Yeah. Substrate. There you go.
Yeah. We got you. Well, buddy.
Yes, sir.
I don't have much else for you, but I want to say, I just really wanted to hear about your derb, and we delve into the finals deeper spawners, which I found super intriguing. And
I could talk about that for days, but I know people would be just grinding their teeth. Like, well, shut up, Tuma.
Yeah. Well, I think we did expose enough in regards to like it's a cool learning lesson though that like largemouth don't just spawn with their backs out of the water. Like they are willing to spawn deep. And it's a reminder that like if they have the variables they need to spawn, if there's enough visibility, they don't care how deep they are.
And that was the weird thing because it's not an overly clear body of water. I mean, it wasn't super dingy, but apparently light penetrates way more than what we can see our lure down. You know what I mean? That's my little sucky disc, if you will. I take a bright lure and okay, I got about 2.5, 3 foot clarity. Well, light penetrates way, way further than that. So
yeah, and I think that's one thing that forward facing allows us to learn a little bit. And we've talked about this, I feel like a few times now on like the past couple of weeks on the show was like how forward-facing sonars allowed us to learn about fish, more about fish. And specifically, we've been talking about how, like, just because you think a body of water is dirty doesn't mean to the fish that it's, like, the same as what you're seeing because they're looking up at a sun where we're looking down at a dark bottom.
Correct.
And, like, it's the silhouette effect is completely different for them. Like, I mean, when I was on a lake up in eastern Tennessee before the Classic, and it was, like, 40 foot of water. It was at least clear. But as soon as my small little Demiki rig hit the water, these fish are rising up off bottom in 40 foot of water. Like
they're that in tune. That's awesome.
Yeah, I think, and we've seen it. Like I think the guy that won the event, Ben Milliken, has shown on his channel, at least in Texas, that you can barely see his glide bait a foot on the surface, but he throws it out in 20 foot, and they already start coming up after it. These fish, I think we don't give them enough credit in regards to eyesight, but also that they probably could feel that a little bit too when something slaps the water right on top of them.
I'm sure. So it's probably some, I mean, especially with those ginormous glide baits that dude's throwing, I mean, how much of it is curiosity? And then like, oh, easy meal. And then a little taste of candy,
Yeah. Yeah.
Ouch.
Yeah. Well, dude,
But no, really cool stuff.
it really is. It's super intriguing. Like when you mentioned that on the phone, I started nerding out. I'm like, yes, this is awesome. We need to talk about this. This is so cool.
Funny.
I will nerd out more on that than I will on any tournament win. I mean, maybe not a classic, but like at any like tournament performance, learning stuff like that gets me more excited than anything else.
That was even for me. And I was thinking about this too. It's like I've said in the past, when you're doing good, you're not really learning that much. And I've kind of got to eat my words because I did pretty okay on that particular tournament, and I learned an absolute ton. And yeah. So I gotta eat my own words and kind of take that back,
Yeah.
So no, it's so cool. If we can free our minds from the confines, I guess, of our preconceived notions, and just open up to the possibility that we don't really know everything about fish or fishing, and until we can actually see it, and it's like, holy criminy, yeah, that there's way more other stuff or other things going on out there that we're just not fully aware of. But I think was it Brandon Polinick that said it? Every fish catch, or every fish you hook or catch or land or whatever, is telling a story. Are you willing to listen to its story?
I love that.
Isn't that good stuff?
It really is. That speaks loud words.
That dude's a hammer. So,
yeah, he freaking is. He's like the oh gosh, what's like the old Greek oh my gosh, what's the word I'm looking for? Like not like the Michelangelo, like the old, what was the term for the people that were like thinkers back in the day? That's like what they're known for, was just how they thought about that. I can't remember.
See, I've got a little bit of this in my system. So
this is why I can't think of mine either. So it's like,
can we just chalk it up? Hey kids, don't drink alcohols.
Yeah. You lose brain cells.
Brain cells. It's hard on the brains. Drugs are bad, okay?
Yeah. Essentially what I was trying to get at is,
are you thinking like theologists or something along those lines? Or that's
to an extent, yeah, like the early days, people that thought completely different than the rest of everyone, and that's why they were so intelligent.
Well, they were witches, and they'd hang them and they'd burn them and stuff like that, wouldn't they?
I don't know that far, but no. What I'm trying to get at is I admire Brandon from that aspect.
I'm giving you plenty of time to Google this, by the way, dude.
Yeah, we're just gonna let it roll. People know I'm psychotic, so it's fine. We're already there. I just love his mental process and how he thinks and he approaches
100%.
things, because it's completely different than anybody else.
And that's what, if you can capitalize on that. I mean, each and every one of us has our own mental oddities, if you will, and we just got to play it into our strengths. That's all we got to do.
Oh yeah,
looks great on paper. It's easier said than done, but not
conforming to the trends, if you will.
Correct.
Yeah. Like one thing I love about you is you're doing it your way, and you're doing it the right way too, and the fact that you aren't taking any outside mumbo jumbo, and you're learning these fisheries by yourself.
Definitely putting in the work. And it's on me. If I do very, very well, that will be because I put in all the work and things worked out for me, or I put myself in a position to where things could work out. If it doesn't, it's okay too, because I put forth my best effort, and I'm cool with it either way it goes. So yeah, but it's on me. It's on my shoulders. I don't want any excuses at the end of the season. Oh, dang it. I shouldn't have watched this video, or I shouldn't have listened to so-and-so. I should have just done my thing. I don't want anything like that haunting me. So yeah, it's
Yep.
on me, man.
Exactly. Relying on your own strengths, your own brain, not relying on any other information you hear or people you
Correct.
talk to or whatever.
Yeah.
I love that part. And again,
Thank you.
I respect it, buddy. And
There's
dude,
lots of us out there doing that. So
yes, and kudos even to the people that are sitting there. They're like, man, I don't know if I can keep up, but you're doing it the right way. Give yourself time because you will
100%.
get there. Enough
Thank you for
repetitions.
saying that. You know,
Yeah,
if you stick to it, you know, and put in the work, things are going to happen. And not always favorable, but a lot of times they will be favorable. And you can look back on that and say, hey, look, I got it. That was
yeah.
me. So
I
yeah,
mean, we've seen it recently with like elites and such, man.
for
Like
sure.
some of the young guns that come in, they have a rough go the
Ooh,
first time around because they're like, yeah, I don't know. Like they're on stage, like this is the first time I've ever been here, never seen it before. Then they come back and they start hammering them, and it's like, holy crap, where did this guy come from? It's like
correct.
you give them enough time to do it the right way, they'll figure it out because
Absolutely.
they've been able to cut their teeth doing it the right way, learning, not
Yep.
just adapting from what they've been told to do and doing what they've experienced. And I think that's the biggest thing. And then the key
You
from a
bring up a really,
longevity.
really good point. The ones that are putting in the work and all that stuff, you see them, their careers, you can see them progress, if you will.
Mhm.
Whereas I've seen it more on a local level. People that are I guess given or trying to fast track the
Mhm.
learning process, they stall out eventually, and it's like, all right, well that's interesting to see.
Yeah.
So I mean, yeah, it's weird dynamics. We're all weird creatures, man.
Yeah. And dude, there's a lot of them out there that are doing it the right way. I can't tell you a few of like, there's been several times where I'll be out on one of our home lakes that guys are going to on the elites, whether it's Cayuga past few years ago, and I saw a fighter putting in dark to dark, not even getting up and fishing when it's like prime time of the year there, and he's just crafting
Hmm.
the whole time. Guys that are grinding. So it's
Hmm.
respect to all of those dudes like yourself that are doing it the right way. And dude, I always appreciate you willing to come on the show and talk to my crazy butt. So I thank you.
Bailey, thank you for having me. As always, I miss Andy, but I do appreciate him stepping aside so that I can take his co-hosting position for
That's
this
right.
evening.
You're the captain tonight. That's right.
Awesome.
Yeah. Well,
Captain Keith.
folks, yeah, well, so really fast for folks, if you guys are not following Tuma on any of his socials, his are down in the description. You guys can keep along with what's going on, as well as next Monday, we're having our Santee Cooper Bassmaster Fantasy Fishing Show. And then Tuesday Night Live is not determined yet, but if you're following us on social, we'll let you guys know ASAP. And if you subscribe to our newsletter, you'll find out Sunday night when we send out our e-blast. But Thursday, or not, excuse me, not Thursday, next Friday's show, we're having on Obadi Williams, which for folks who don't know who that is a California Delta hammer. But every tournament that's out there, that dude's winning it, kayak and boat, and it's super cool. I'm excited to get
That's
him
gonna
on
be
the
a fun
show.
show.
Yeah, that's a dude. I feel like you and Obadi. I don't know Obadi that well, but you see
I
a
don't
lot
either.
of him on Greg Blanchard, his YouTube channel, and you guys, I feel like, are the exact same people. Like the energy that you guys bring, and I love it. So I'm excited for next Friday. It'll be
You need me to co-host? Let me know.
I don't know if I can handle that much energy on one show.
Just absorb some, dude.
I
Just
could probably
absorb it.
just let you guys run because I could be like, you guys take it. Like this is your show.
That'd be a hoot.
Yeah. Heck
No,
yeah.
it'll be a great show for sure. I'm gonna tune in for. I'll be listening, watching. Yep.
Heck yeah, buddy. Well, dude, I appreciate you. Always good getting you on here. I'm sure we'll have you on again real soon.
I hope so. Let's do a couple more tournaments, then we'll do another recap.
Always got a seat, my friend.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Bailey.
Heck yeah. Well, folks, we appreciate you guys. We're going to tune out for now, and we'll see y'all next week. Peace.